Yes, right now is Democratic Congressman Krishnamoorthi of Illinois. He sits on that House Oversight Committee that released these documents. Congressman, thanks for the time. The White House reaction, Kevin Liptak just laid it out. Caroline Leavitt saying clearly after this release, it's very clear President Trump did not draw this picture and he did not sign it. President Trump's legal team will continue to aggressively pursue litigation. You could describe it as kind of like more head-scratching aspects of this, is that the existence of this, even if it was allegedly the president of the United States who signed this, it doesn't show or prove wrongdoing because of its existence, but its existence is getting harder to deny. Why do you think the president is pushing back and fighting this so hard?
I don't know, but I don't think that the folks at the Wall Street Journal are losing sleep over the president's lawsuit. In any case, I think that at this point, given you can't really trust Donald Trump with regard to his claims about the Epstein situation. We need the production of the full files. We've received 33,000 pages so far, largely documents that are already in the public domain. We need the rest of those documents. As the survivors of the Epstein abuse case told us the other day, they need justice, but we also need accountability, and we need to know how to prevent this from ever happening again.
Congressman, the attorneys for the Epstein estate had said that they're going to continue to produce more documentation because of the subpoena. Is there any indication or any suggestion of what more could be produced by the Epstein estate?
I don't know. One of the things that I'm very curious about are financial records. Yesterday, Senator Wyden sent a letter to Scott Bessent of the Treasury Department saying
Wyden's
that there
been
were
pushing on
more
that
than
for
1
years,
billion.
actually. Yeah.
Yes, there's more than $1 billion in wire transaction activity related to this sex trafficking ring, including a highly dubious $170 million payment from Leon Black to Jeffrey Epstein for quote unquote tax and estate planning advice, which seems laughable on its face. Anyway, we need to know, as the survivors and their attorneys said the other day, how to follow the money. If we can follow the money, we'll understand who made payments and who received the payments and how this trafficking ring actually continued.
That gets to kind of the broader question of what you said, what the survivors have asked for is some level of accountability finally. The chairman of the committee had called it actually appalling, as was his words, of the Oversight Committee, that Democrats on the committee are, in his view, cherry-picking documents and politicizing the information that you all received. Do you think, in the grand scheme of searching for accountability for the survivors, that this birthday book is important?
I think so. I think that any documents at this point from the Epstein estate are important. They give clues as to what might have happened with regard to the sex trafficking ring. And certainly, the president not wanting to produce these documents is a head scratcher. We don't understand why, and we need to get to the bottom of exactly what's going on with these files.
The Department of Homeland Security has announced a deportation operation in Illinois that they announced it just yesterday. Obviously, your district encompasses some of Chicago, the burbs of Chicago. Who was arrested? How big is this? Is this any different from earlier ICE operations? What are you learning?
We don't know yet. So far, they've begun their operations. We don't know the extent of it, except that of all think tanks, the Cato Institute recently did an analysis, it's a conservative think tank, of ICE's arrests, and the vast majority of these arrests are of people who have not committed crimes. Instead, it appears to be an effort to meet Stephen Miller's quota of 3,000 arrests per day, which is what he expects ICE to do every day. And they're just arresting random people, separating families, disrupting communities, and of course hurting the economy because people aren't working, they're staying home from school, and they're not shopping either.
At least so far, I say that so far without a lot of information of what actually has come from these operations, it does not appear to be what's playing out in Chicago, the large-scale kind of crime crackdown involving the National Guard that the president himself had been threatening. Do you think that he is backing off plans to send the National Guard into Chicago?
No, not necessarily. I think we have to be prepared for anything. And it's extremely important that we continue to speak out, especially about the fact that any deployment of federal troops in Chicago or any other city would be a violation of the Posse Comitatus law, which prohibits federal troops from doing domestic law enforcement. There are no emergencies or exigencies that would apply here that would allow him to deploy the troops. I've introduced legislation, actually as an amendment to the National Defense Authorization Act, prohibiting the deployment of any federal troops without the consent of the governor of the state in which they're being deployed. I hope to move that this week.
Congressman, thank you for coming.